Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. In a tit-for-tat move against Russian leader Dmitry Medvedev, US President Trump orders 2 nuclear submarines to strategic regions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India must remain vigilant about its own interests with the global economy facing uncertainties while inaugurating key developmental projects worth 2,200 crore INR in Varanasi. US envoy Witkoff arrives to Hostages Square in Tel Aviv to meet families of Israeli hostages. SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule docked with orbiting International Space Station. 4 astronauts join ISS on 6-month mission. Tension between the US and Russia has escalated this week as US President Donald Trump and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev exchanged threatening statements. In response to threats from Medvedev, Trump on Friday said he has ordered 2 nuclear submarines to be positioned in the appropriate regions. In his social media post on Truth Social, Trump said words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. He hoped this will not be one of those instances. A day earlier, Medvedev said Trump should remember that Moscow possessed Soviet-era nuclear strike capabilities of last resort. Asked later by reporters why he ordered the submarine movement, Trump said a threat was made by former president of Russia and they're going to protect people.
Well, we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate. So I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people.
Speaking to reporters at the White House, US President Trump said on Friday that Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva can call him anytime to discuss tariffs and other friction between the countries. Later, calling Trump's remarks great, Brazil Finance Minister Fernando Haddad said he is sure Lula feels the same and would be willing to receive a call from the US president. In a post on X, Lula also said Brazil has always been open to dialogue, although he did not mention Trump nor his earlier remarks. Earlier, Trump slapped a 50% tariff on Brazil with many exemptions starting next week to fight what he has called a witch hunt against former President Jair Bolsonaro.
I think it's great, and I'm sure the feeling is mutual. President Lula would be willing to receive a phone call from him whenever he wanted as well. As I said before, it's very important that we prepare for this meeting, for this conversation. Today, once again, I had contact with US Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent's team, so we can have a meeting next week. So finally, the longer meeting is more focused on the unilateral decision of the United States regarding Brazil. We will be able to exchange ideas on all topics, including this one.
Brazilians are holding protests across several cities denouncing the US president's politically motivated trade tariffs. Anti-Trump protests were held in Brasilia, Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, a sign of souring ties between 2 of America's largest economies. Speaking to the reporter about trade tariff, US President Trump said he might consider giving dividends from tariffs revenue to citizens. Since he arrived in office at the beginning of the year, Trump's imposed trade tariffs on several countries, claiming it will help reduce debt and inflation.
There are a lot of people that would like to see us do sort of a dividend to the people of our country. It's something I'd consider.
How much would be?
I want to pay off debt. But there's a possibility I'd do a dividend.
US President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, visited Hostages Square in Tel Aviv on Saturday to meet families of Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Protesters chanted, "Bring them home now," as Witkoff, under tight security, entered a nearby building. His visit follows a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday, aimed at reviving Gaza truce talks and addressing a deepening humanitarian crisis. Earlier, Witkoff visited a US-backed aid operation, saying he sought to get food and other aid to people there. The site is run by the US and Israel-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in Rafah. US President Donald Trump said Witkoff had a great meeting on Gaza food aid.
I did. I spoke to Steve Witkoff. He had a great meeting with a lot of people, and the primary meeting was on food. And he also had some other conversations that I'll tell you about later. But he had a meeting on getting the people fed, and that's what we want. And I'll see you later on.
Moving to updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict. 3 people were killed and 2 injured after an overnight Ukrainian drone strike in western Russia on Saturday. Russia's defense ministry said it destroyed a total of 146 Ukrainian drones over 7 districts in a period of 9 hours. The death toll rose to 31 in the year's deadliest strike on Ukraine. On Thursday, Russia launched more than 300 drones and 8 missiles early on Ukrainian towns and cities. Another drone strike on Friday injured 10 people in Kharkiv. Ukrainian Volodymyr Zelensky visited areas where high-rise apartment buildings suffered heavy damage. The Federal Reserve announced Friday that Governor Adriana Kugler to resign early from her term and will exit the central bank on 8th of August. The Fed said in a statement that Kugler, who became a governor in September 2023, will leave before her term's conclusion, which was scheduled for 31st of January 2026. Kugler will return to Georgetown University as a professor next autumn. Kugler's early departure may shake up the timeline for the succession process now surrounding Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends next May. Trump says he is happy about open spot on Fed board after Kugler resigns.
Yeah, one of the governors, as you know, the Federal Reserve has just announced she's resigning. I understand it was over the fact that she disagreed with somebody from her party. She disagreed with Too-Late. You know who Too-Late is? Yeah. She disagreed with Too-Late on the interest rate. So we'll see what happens. But we just found out that I have a open spot on the Federal Reserve Board. I'm very happy about that, John.
Whereas in an interview with Newsmax, US President Donald Trump has said that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell will most likely stay in his position, even as Trump sharply criticized the Federal Reserve's policies. Trump said he would remove Powell because the Fed's interest rate was too high, but also added that others have said Powell's removal would disturb the market. He gets out in 7 or 8 months and I'll put somebody else in, Trump said. And 4 people were shot and killed Friday in an open firing at the Owl Bar in Anaconda, Montana. Manhunt for the suspect, identified as 45-year-old Michael Paul Brown, who lived next door to the bar, is underway. What led to the shooting remains unclear as the FBI helps police in the investigation. Governor of Montana is closely monitoring the situation and urged prayers for the victims, their families, and the law enforcement officers responding. So far in 2025, there have been about 256 mass shootings in the US, including Friday's shooting in Anaconda, while around 503 incidents were reported in last year. In Ethiopia's war-impacted Oromia region, people in remote villages are gradually regaining access to healthcare after almost 2 years of disruption, though the effects of the conflict still linger. A health center in Ethiopia's West Welega zone has reopened after nearly 2 years of conflict-related closure. During the shutdown, residents relied on improvised transport to access care. While services have resumed, medicine shortages persist. A nearby hospital is also recovering, though much of its equipment was destroyed and medicine transport remains difficult due to continued insecurity. The International Committee of the Red Cross has been supporting health facilities in the region, providing medical supplies, training, and logistical support. The conflict between federal forces and the Oromo Liberation Army has displaced many and disrupted essential services. The 16th and final Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been handed over to the Indian Air Force. Now the remaining 40 C-295 aircrafts will be built at the Airbus facility in Gujarat. DD India's Atman Sandhu gets us this report from Spain.
We're in the heart of Europe's aerospace hub, Sevilla, where a significant milestone has been reached between India-Spain Defence Cooperation. The final and 16th Airbus C-295 military transport aircraft has been ceremonially handed over to the Indian Air Force.
Under the Make in India initiative, the remaining 40 C-295 aircrafts are going to be built at the Airbus facility in Gujarat. The facility was launched by Tata Advanced Systems Limited and formally inaugurated in October 2024 by Prime Minister Modi and Spanish Prime Minister Sanchez. The C-295 is a versatile transport aircraft capable of carrying up to 71 troops, conducting airdrops, cargo missions, medical evacuation, and operating from short unpaved runways, ideal for India's diverse geography.
Right now, we'll move to the more important part, which is the 40 aircraft that are to be built and integrated in India. This is part of the Make in India program of Prime Minister Modi, which has actually seen one of the best projects that we can work on in the world today. And we are going to see over the next 5 to 6 years, 40 aircraft to be built in India. This not only will create an ecosystem for building aircraft, but it will also make sure that most of the parts of an aircraft are built in India too.
Airbus and Tata described this landmark deal as a cornerstone for Atmanirbhar Bharat, highlighting India's self-reliance in boosting its defense power by creating around 15,000 high-skilled direct jobs, around 10,000 indirect jobs, and integrating 125 domestic MSMEs into the aerospace supply chain.
We delivered aircraft number 16. All the aircrafts were delivered ahead of contract, and we are very proud. The customer satisfaction is being 100%. So we reached the highest level of quality in the deliverables of these aircrafts. It's been a day of pride also because we built during all these years a team spirit with the Indian Air Force, with our dear customer, where the teams built not only transparency in the way of working, but real, true trust.
This project has strengthened India-Spain relations beyond defense cooperation. It exemplifies the growing convergence between the two nations in global supply chains and technology development. This is Atman Sandhu in Spain for DD India.
And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. France faces massive holiday gridlock during traditional summer exodus. EV giant Tesla fined over $240 million in fatal autopilot crash case. India launches first tranche of 4 projects under India-UN Global Capacity Building Initiative.
The future always starts now. Some people choose to seize that moment and shape what comes next. This episode is to remind us that impact doesn't always have to be loud to be powerful.
We realized that if women became involved in decision making and generated income, the whole family would benefit, and women would be involved in this way.
By collecting waste, the city's garbage is considerably reduced. We select what's needed, sort it by quality, and sell it. This is how much of the plastic ends up recycled. If this stops someday, the traffic will come to a standstill.
We aim to ensure animals can return to the wild. If they came to me for food, that wouldn't happen.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday visited his parliamentary constituency Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh and inaugurated key development projects worth nearly Rs 2,200 crore. The development projects cover roads, hospitals and schools to clean water and smart power. With this, Varanasi moves closer to the Viksit Bharat vision, blending spiritual heritage with cutting-edge progress. In a significant step towards farmer welfare, Prime Minister Modi also released the 20th installment of PM Kisan transferring over 20,000 crore rupees to 9.7 crore farmers across the country. Under PM Modi's leadership, Indian agriculture has seen a historic shift with tech-driven reforms and strong farmer support. Addressing the gathering on the occasion, PM Modi said a grand farmers festival was being held in Varanasi with over 20,000 crore rupees directly transferred to farmers' accounts.
आज यहाँ एक विराट किसान उत्सव का आयोजन हो रहा है। देश के 10 करोड़ किसान भाइयों बहनों के खातों में 21,000 करोड़ रुपए पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि के रूप में भेजे गए हैं। और जब काशी से धन जाता है ना, वो तो अपने आप प्रसाद बन जाता है।
Highlighting country's economic progress, Prime Minister Modi stated that India is on the path to becoming the world's third largest economy and therefore India must remain vigilant about its economic interests.
आज दुनिया की अर्थव्यवस्था कई आशंकाओं से गुजर रही है। अस्थिरता का माहौल है। ऐसे में दुनिया के देश अपने अपने हितों पर फोकस कर रहे हैं। भारत भी दुनिया की तीसरी सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था बनने जा रहा है। इसलिए भारत को भी अपने आर्थिक हितों को लेकर सजग रहना ही है।
In Varanasi, Prime Minister Modi inquired about the flood situation from the Divisional Commissioner and District Magistrate. He also sought information about the preparedness as well as relief operations to assist people. PM Modi also inquired about the arrangements for the people in the relief camps and people who took shelter in different places. He yet again emphasized that people who are affected should get all possible support from the local administration. In a move to advance global development cooperation, the Ministry of External Affairs of India launched the first tranche of 4 projects under the India-UN Global Capacity Building Initiative. Announced on August 1st, the initiative opens a new chapter in India's efforts to strengthen partnerships with nations across Asia, Africa and the Caribbean. The initial 4 projects focus on vital areas including food security, health, vocational training and census preparedness. During the launch, Tanmay Lal, Secretary of West MEA, said that nearly 60 projects in more than 50 partner countries have been completed under India-UN Partnership Fund, which was launched in 2017.
India-UN Development Partnership Fund was also launched in 2017. Nearly 60 projects in more than 50 partner countries have been completed so far under this unique South-South cooperation program. More than 30 projects are ongoing. And the program flows really from the priorities of the partner countries, especially in SIDS and LDCs. The projects are implemented by UN partner agencies.
A Florida jury on Friday found Tesla liable in a deadly 2019 crash involving its autopilot system and ordered the company to pay a staggering $329 million in damages to the victim's family. The payout includes $129 million of compensatory damages and $200 million of punitive damages. Tesla was sued by the estate of Nibel Benavides Leon and by her former boyfriend Dylan Angulo. The lawsuit stemmed from a 2019 crash when George McGee drove his 2019 Tesla Model S and slammed into a parked Chevrolet Tahoe. The victims were standing beside the SUV on the shoulder. SpaceX Crew 11 astronauts arrived at the International Space Station, NASA announced on Saturday. The Crew 11 team lifted off aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida on Friday. The arrival marked the start of a 6-month mission during which the 4 astronauts from the US, Japan and Russia will conduct scientific research aboard the orbiting laboratory by partnering with private industry. And in France, more than 1,000 kilometers of traffic jams were recorded on Saturday at midday, classified as black in the direction of departures for the traditional summer crossover between July and August holidaymakers. Traffic congestions were seen at various locations across the entire Vinci autoroute network due to the traditional summer exodus of travelers. During the gloomy weather, motorists patiently waited at the Mont Blanc tunnel heading towards Italy that was congested with a 1-hour 45-minute traffic jam. Prime Minister of Nepal, KP Sharma Oli, is set to participate in 3rd United Nations Conference on landlocked developing countries in Turkmenistan. PM Oli will leave Turkmenistan on 3rd of August, leading a Nepali delegation. The conference is being held in Avaza, Turkmenistan from 5th to 8th of August 2025. Prime Minister Oli is scheduled to address the conference as the chair of the Global Coordination Bureau of the Least Developed Countries and in national capacity. There are 12 landlocked countries in Asia that do not have direct ocean access. 32 out of the 44 countries on the globe in Africa, Asia and South America have been classified as landlocked developing countries by the UN. In these, 9 of the 12 countries with the lowest Human Development Index rankings are landlocked. All right, time now for sport. India's Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia on Friday felicitated World Cup winner Divya Deshmukh and Koneru Hampi in New Delhi. Indian chess prodigy Divya and veteran Grandmaster Koneru made the nation proud with a dominant performance at the recently concluded tournament in Batumi, Georgia. Grandmaster Koneru Hampi, who finished runner-up to Divya, joined online from her home for the felicitation. 19-year-old Divya, who became India's 88th Grandmaster, hails from Nagpur, said that she was very happy that the title has come to India.
It has been very overwhelming coming to India with so much, seeing so much love from people, seeing so much support from people. It has been really nice. It has been quite an exhausting trip and also an exhausting few days, but I don't think my heart could be any happier. This tournament has been the biggest test of resilience. And also it was such a long event, so it was definitely tested my physical, emotional stamina and also how to handle my nerves in the crucial moments. So I think that is my takeaway.
American track and field athlete Sha'Carri Richardson was arrested for domestic violence but later released. According to reports, allegedly pushed her male compatriot sprinter Christian Coleman at the Seattle airport 4 days before the start of the U.S. track and field championships. Authorities charged her with 4th-degree domestic violence assault after an argument with Coleman. The report said she was detained on the evening of July 27 and released the following day. Richardson withdrew from the 100 semi-finals in Eugene, Oregon on Friday after participating in the Thursday's heats. She is guaranteed a spot in the 100 at the World Championships in September due to her win at Budapest in 2023. South Korean soccer player Song Heung-min announced on Saturday that he will end his decade-long spell with Premier League club Tottenham Hotspur this summer. The 33-year-old Son, who is contracted with Spurs until 2026, played a key role in helping the club secure their first trophy in 17 years with a win over Manchester United in the Europa League final in May. He joined the North London side from Bayer Leverkusen in 2015. Although he did not reveal his next destination, reports linked Son with a potential move to Major League Soccer's Los Angeles FC. Son has made 454 appearances for Spurs and scored 173 goals. He claimed the Premier League Golden Boot during the 2021-22 season. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Prasar Bharati from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.